Hello guys, welcome to class. So I hope you're doing well and then hope our first class, the practice and the class, hope it went good for us. Yes, so in our first class we learned different things, introduction to Python, commands, how to install Python and then different things. So today we're going to be going deeper into the course. And then by now, I expect that everybody should have a Python on their computer and then also the Visual Studio Code because I mentioned it last time that that's what we're going to be using to run our programs, write our codes. I just used the command prompt the other time so that we can get to see the instant execution of our interpreter. But there is little we can do with command prompt. So we're gonna go deeper into our application software that we're gonna be using to write our code this time. So like I said, I expect everybody to already have a Visual Studio Code on their computer. So first, since we didn't use Visual Studio Code last time, I'm just gonna show you how to use it. So first, what I always do is whenever I want to start a new project, a new code, I always like create a folder. Let's say, for example, I created this folder and I name it my first project. This is a folder, then boom, I open the folder. And what I want to do right here is to create a new text document, which is a notepad. So create a new text document and then you can rename it to anything you want. Let's say first project, right? So if you notice something, there is an extension which is .txt. I believe we're all computer literates, right? I don't know, I don't expect everybody as in to be explaining what is an extension now because extension is the extension of the file. It will tell you what's the type of file that is on your computer. For example, let me see if I can get an example. See, like you see this one, computer a plus dot png. PNG is an example of is an image file. So this is Michael resume dot doc, which means is a document file extension. So right here, first project dot txt, it is a test file, which means it's a notepad. But what we want to do is we want to convert these to Python Python file. So what we have to do is to change this extension. The extension of Python is py. So we want to change our extension to py. Then immediately we hit enter. It's going to change the logo and then the file to Python file. So it's asking us to confirm it. So just confirm it. You see, we now have this file as a Python file. So what you want to do after that is to right click. You should be able to see open with code on your computer. If you have installed the Visual Studio Code, you should be able to see this open with code. Because if you open with code, your computer is going to open everything that is in this project file in our Visual Studio Code. Okay, it's loading. So this is what you should get. I trust the author. So this is what you should get after you open it. This is our Visual Studio Code. What we want to do right now is to click on this is the project you just created, right? Click on it. Then this is the platform where you can write your code. And one thing about Python is that each line, it will give you each line, it will title each line for you as a number. So let's say this is your first line. If you write anything here and you press enter, it's going to jump to the second line. Even if you don't write anything, I keep pressing enter. So that is very easy for you to detect if you made a mistake or you have an error or you have a bug to fix in any line. So Python will tell you that, hey, in line so there is an error there. Go and fix it before I can run this program. So which is a good thing. So you can write your code right here, but we're gonna get into it. But you know how to open the program now. So let's say for the program we tried the other time, we did print, and then we have hello world. So this is an example of the program we ran last time. So we have print, which means we want to print whatever that is in these parentheses, which means we want to print hello world. And then how to run this program is first you have to go to view, then go to terminal because you want to see your output immediately you are running your program. You want to be able to see your output. So go to terminal. You will have something like this down here. Um, this terminal is going to be giving you the result of your program you are running instantly. So then you want to hit this, which is run program file. Whenever you want to run your program file, whenever you write a script, a line of code, um, I always advise people whenever you write a line of code, just try to run it so that if there's any error, you'll be able to fix it instantly before writing thousands of code and then you later detect that there's an error. So I always run my code every time as I'm writing my code. So you want to hit this and then we should be able to get our results down here. Our Python is still processing it. Why? Because it's the first time I'm running the program on this file. Yeah, so there you go. It has already processed it. You see, it's sent back to me hello world because I asked Python to print hello world for me. So that is how to work with your software applications on using Python right here. So let's proceed into today's course. So today's goal is we're going to be checking in class 2. We're going to be checking variables, expressions, and statements. And then we might touch some other things. And then after that, we'll have an assignment. So first, what is value? Because we're going to be dealing with values and data type, right? A value is one of the fundamental thing in Python, like a letter or a number that program manipulates. So value, yeah, you know, some some people, some of us, the only place we've ever heard value is maybe what's the value of this thing. But yeah, the value in Python is a thing, a letter or number that the Python program manipulates. So the value we have seen so far, the first class we calculated 2 plus 2, we calculated I think 3 plus 5 as well, and we're able to get result instantly. And then so that is a number, and then we're able to also give Python something to print out, which is hello world. Yes, so you can see that it's a letters or numbers. So that those are values. Whatever we type into our program, we are giving our program value, right? So values are classified into classes or data type. So values, they are classified into classes or data type. So for example, I mentioned this last time too, but I just want to go into it deeper today. 4 is an integer. Why? Because it's a number. While hello world is a string because it's a letter, right? String is called letter is called string in programming, and then or numbers, digits, they are called integers. So I mentioned something here that you and the interpreter can identify string because they are enclosed in quotation mark. So if you go back to what I wrote here, whenever you want to write your string, you have to make sure that they are enclosed with quotation mark because if not, Python is going to think that it is an integer, right? So if it is a string, you want to type anything that letter, or you want it to come out as string. Yes, sometimes you might type print or then quotation 4 and 5. Oh, let's say 4 plus 5. So if you type these, they're in quotation mark, Python is going to categorize it as string because yes, it's not going to add this value. So if I run this program, you see the result, hello world, and then 4 plus 5. And then another thing about Python is that whenever you're writing the code, line by line, whenever you want to execute it, it's going to execute it line by line. As you can see, what I wrote here in line 1, hello world, excuse me, he printed the result as hello world, and then he executed this second line as well, and then 4 plus 5, and then he printed it out. So if there is an error in line 1, the program is not going to run. He's not going to go to line 2 because as the interpreter is interpreting it's interpreting it from the top to bottom. That sounds very familiar, right? Nigeria from top to bottom. So so that's it. So let's go back to our notes. So we have established this line, this, and then if you're not sure what class a value falls into, Python can help you to type to help you to state out which value type your your whatever you type into it belongs to. So you can ask Python that, hey, what is the data type of this value that I'm entering, right? So this like trips in case for the sake of our time, right? I won't be going back and forth to the Python programming. I've screenshotted um some of the code so that I don't have to be going back and forth. So, but we can practice all this code. It is the code I wrote. I've screenshotted them so we can practice them. It's easier like that for me to be going back and forth to my note and to the Python program. So let's, for example, we want to ask Python. We can ask Python what type of what is the type of this or value that I'm entering into these or in that I'm giving you. So for us to do that, we can do type, just type, then write your statement. Type, then write your statement. So Python is going to reply you with the type of value. As you can see, this after we ran this statement, the reply we got was str, which means string. So Python is telling us that this data type is string. And then there is another one here, type 17. So it's telling us that this data type is integer. Int means integer. So there is another thing called float. So float is any numbers that has a decimal, right? Because our integer is a solid number, but once it has a decimal, it is float. So we can ask Python too that a type, then put whatever you want to type in the bracket, then it's going to tell you the data, the class of the data. So that is that. Moving forward, string. String in Python can be enclosed in either single quotes or double quotes or three of each. So whenever we're typing our strings, if you remember the string that we have here, they have double quote. So if you decide to use one single quote, yes, it's still a string. And if you decide to use triple or three of each, is still a string. It's still going to give you the same result. Python does not care in as much that it has something that can hold it right here and hold it right here. It will consider it as a string. Or moving on to important thing to note about integer, right? So because it might be so confused as we proceed, some people they might want to when they want to type a larger number, let's say they want to type 10,000, they might want to help Python to put 10,000, and let's say they want to type 10,000, they might want to help Python and do this. It is not allowed whenever you want to type a digit, a longer digit, because Python will consider it as something else. This will be considered as the result you should get for this is exactly the result I've shown you right here. Python will convert this triple zero into zero and then give you a comma and then give you the first digit. So, but if you want to type 42,000, don't Python, just type your 42,000. It will process it itself as a 42,000. So that's that. Then interesting part, variable. So what is variable? One of the powerful features of a programming language is the ability to manipulate variables. A variable is a name that refers to a value. Variable is a name that refers to a value. So the assignment statement give a value to a variable. Yes. So variable, we can store a value in our variable. Let's say um my name is Michael, right? But everybody call me Show Me. Show Me is my variable, right? They stored Michael in Show Me. So whenever they call Show Me, I know that, oh, it's me they are calling. It's Michael they are calling. Why? Because Michael has been stored in Show Me's variable. That looks confusing, but let's check the example right here. So this is a message equals to. So this equals to means we are assigning whatever we type after that to this variable, right? So message equals to what's up, doc. So this, if I want to type this what's up, doc next time, Python has stored this what's up, doc as message. So once I just type message, boom, it knows that I'm referring to what's up, doc. And that's a string. If you notice, this is a string, right? Because it's enclosed. Then n equals to 17. So I'm storing 17 in n. So whenever I type n, Python will know that, oh, I'm calling 17. So variable, we store value in our variable. So whenever we are now referencing that variable, Python will know that, oh, I'm going to bring out this value. They are calling you. So one thing to remember about variable, we stored value into it. So right here to pi equals to 3 point so this is a float number, if you remember. Then whenever you mention pi, Python will bring out this value for us because we have stored it. And then one thing about variable, we can always manipulate it. Let's say we store n as 17 like we did right here. So in our next line, if we do n as 20, Python is going to erase that 17 because now you are giving Python a fresh memory, right? That, hey, this is the new thing that this variable should be called. So we're still going to continue that variable. Variable name and keywords. Variable name can be, arbitrarily, right, long. It can be as long as possible, our variable name, but we just have to pay attention. In variables, they have some rules as well. Um, you can't use everything for your variable. You can't use everything to store your variable, right? Um, I wrote here that they contain both letters and digits, but they have to begin with letter or an underscore. So if you want to store a variable, it has to be letters, right? Or it can contain digits, but you can't start your variable with a digit. You can't. Python is not going to allow you. Let's say you want to store your variable, you want to do 20 equals to 400 and 500. Python is not going to allow you because you you can't start a variable with a digit. Uh, yes, if you want to start your variable with it can contain digit. Let's say you mentioned that year 2020 Yes, this is allowed because you are not starting a variable with uh with a digit. So it can contain digits. Or then if you insist that you want to 2020 is what you want to write, you can put underscore. Yes, Python we understand that okay, this is allowed. So this can be a variable, but you can start your variable with digits. That's the first thing. Second thing, it's a case sensitive. I mentioned here that Bruce and Bruce are different variables. So if you're storing Bruce equals to 20, and then you write, you want to call your variable, and you now call your variable as Bruce with small letter, it's not going to allow you because they're two different things. So you can store this first Bruce as 20 and store the second Bruce as 40. So if you call the first Bruce, it's going to give you 20, and if you call the lowercase Bruce, it's going to give you 40. Then moving forward, underscore can appear in the name. So in variable, you're going to write a variable, you must not add a space. You can't write space. Let's say you can't write my name equals to, you can't give this kind of variable because it contains space. It's either one 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 what's it called? Yeah, is either it's in one name like this, or you want to do my, or you write it together like this, or you can use underscore, my underscore name, right? So pay attention to that. And then if you give a variable that is illegal, you're gonna get syntax error. There are some variables that they are illegal in Python that you can't use that variable at all. Example of it is yeah, these are some um examples. Um like for example 76 trombone, you can use this as a variable because it's I supposed to give these as an assignment. I supposed to use these as an assignment so you can dictate the errors that we have here in this variable. So you can do that. Let's see if you can find the errors, that what is wrong with these variables, and then it's going to be part of your assignment. Find what is wrong with these variables. This one, two, three. They are just three, and then your assignment, find what is wrong with this variable, why it can be used. And then the other thing which I need to mention about variable before we proceed is you can use all these things as variables. All these things that are here, you can use them because they are uh, functions. They are functions in Python. All these things, Python is a Python instrument. Yes, they are Python word. It is what Python always use. So you can use them as a variable because it's it's Python thing. It is a function which will still get a function. It is something that Python recognize. Any of these things, it means a lot to Python. It means different thing entirely to Python. So you can use them as variable because if you're using it as variable, you are confusing Python that, hey, let's say you want to use as variable. You can because as it means something else to Python if you type it. So you can use them. Pay attention. So whenever you're typing, naming your variable, and then it's giving you an error, the first thing is come and check this list if you have used Python property. So moving forward, statement. Statement is an instruction that the Python interpreter can execute. We have seen the assignment so far. We've written a hello world and all that. But further, we are still going to move into while statements, for statements, if statements, import statements. We're still going to get to all those. But they are statements. Statement is, yeah, instruction that we give to Python, then Python understood it, and then it will execute it and give us our result. Um, okay, yeah. So when you type a statement on the command line, Python will execute it, but statement does not produce any result. So it's a thing that Python will execute. It won't give you your result, but whatever you type after that might give you your result. But for statement itself, it is something Python will use to process whatever you're typing. But we'll still understand better when we get to statement. So the another thing which I want to mention before we round up this class is evaluating expression. So expression is a combination of values, variable operators, and I will still explain these operators, and calls to function. If you type an expression at Python prompt, the interpreter evaluates it and display the result. So let's say you type 1 plus 1, which we've been dealing with, to give it to, but you can evaluate these expression. You can check what's the length of this expression, for example. To check the length, which means the length of whatever you type in that expression. And this is going to be so good for those who want to venture into data analysis, because you're going to be using a lot of evaluation in your expression, in your data. So we can type len. So len, which I believe is part of this. Oh, it's not part, but it should be part, because you can use something like that too for your variable. So len is that we want to check the length of our whatever we write in the whatever thing that we write in our parentheses. So we can use len expression to give us the function to give us the results. Python is going to give you boom the total number of these tests is 5. So we can try that. We can always try that. Type something and then check the length of it. So these are the practice we can be trying on our layer time. So some practice. The evaluation of an expression produces a value, which is why expression can appear on the right hand side of our assignment statement. A value by itself is simple expression, and so a variable. So 17, boom, is going to give us 17. Y equals to, well, remember this is a variable. Y, we are assigning this value to this variable. So I believe by now we should be getting familiar with how code looks like. If we see a code, we should be able to interpret it and check, oh, this is what this code is all about. So right here, this is a variable. They are assigning this to this. X equals to length of hello world. Then now they now said, what is X? Do we get it? Y equals to this. So they are assigning Y this expression to this variable, right? This value. So X equals to the length of hello world. Then what is X? X, Python is going to give you the result. X is 5. Then what is Y? Y is 3.4, because our Y right here, we have assigned this value to this variable. So we can practice something like this. Then operators and operand. Um, Operators are special token that represents computation like addition, multiplication, and divisions. Um, the values the operator use are called operand, which I mentioned the other time that we're going to get into it. So operand in Python is called operators, right? So these are plus. So just as it is in mathematics, we can use plus when it's necessary. So if you do 20 plus 32, is going to give us our results. If you do hour minus 1, which means is so something to practice. So maybe I will add this to other assignment. So we can do assign hour as variable. Um, okay, let me just explain it. Assign hour. Use hour as your variable, then assign a value to your hour. Do you get it? Assign a value to your hour in minutes. Then now do hour minus 1, and let's see the result. Do we get it? So I'm giving us a lot of assignment. I still have some assignments today after this class. Okay, so let me just explain. You don't have to do it but you can do it as a practice. So what I was explaining is that do hour equals to 60, which means 60 minutes. Then so that means if you say hour back, you're gonna get a reply that's 60. So you can now do print hour minus 1. So if you do this, it's supposed to be 1, but ignore my PowerPoint. So if you do this, Python would remove 1 from 60 because why? You've already assigned 60 as your hours, your variable as a value of 60. Do we get it? Hopefully you get it. But you can practice something like this. You can play around it since you are understanding the concept of whatever we're discussing. So this asterisk in Python, it means multiplication. So you might want to use it to multiply something. So this is addition, of course. This is division, this slash division, and this is exponential. Double asterisk means an exponential. So you can try something like this. Python is going to give you the result of your uh, of the values that you are calculating. So like I mentioned, this means exponentation, which double asterisk. Um, yeah, there's nothing really to worry about here. So the last thing, input. There is a built-in function in Python for getting input from user. So input, if you want to get prompt a user for maybe their name, you can use an input function. This is a function that we can use. Have you ever gotten to maybe any website and then you try to do this thing and then the website prompts you that what is this? You have to answer it. So they use it to collect information from user. So what they were using in that place is input function because input function the Python will prompt a user that what is this, and then you have to reply to Python or to the program. So you can try this on your Visual Studio Code, and then you're gonna see what the result is it will bring for you. It will prompt you that what is your name if you write these statements. Then that's all. Then finally, this is the assignment. Like I mentioned, you have to really make your own research. You have to Google. I can't give you everything. I can solve the assignment for you. I can only guide you. So these are very simple things that you can do from what we have been learning so far. It says write a script that adds 2 plus 2, comment out the first line. So it's very explanative. Um, you can try that, and then I will see you in next class. Bye bye.